And here to talk about to talk to me about criminal justice reform in Arizona is Democratic State Representative Diego Rodriguez and Steven Scharboneau from the Reframing Justice Project. I want to start with you, Representative. Thoughts about that interview with Governor Doug Ducey and his State of the State. Really not a lot of substance when it comes to criminal justice reform. There was a lot of talk about closing prisons.
Absolutely. Quite frankly, I was really disappointed in the tone that the governor presented in both his speech and in the interview that we just watched. We have the fourth highest rate of incarceration, either the fourth or the seventh highest rate of incarceration in the country. We spend well over $1 billion to fund DOC. That's more than we spend on universities, child safety, and any other number of issues. We need real leadership from the governor, frank honesty from the governor's office, to address this problem that the citizens of Arizona want us to take on.
All right, and Steven, let's come to you. Let's talk a little bit about why there needs to be, in your opinion, criminal justice reform, sentencing reform. There's been a basic attitude out there: if you break the law, you should be behind bars. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime, kind of thing. Response on why this is needed.
Sure. Well, the governor mentioned public safety, and I think that's at the forefront of the criminal justice reform movement. It's about not putting people in prison, but to reintegrate them into society. And to do that, we have to look at the approach. Right now, it's 95% of people that are incarcerated will be put back into the community. Since 2000, over 60% of people, the incarceration rate has grown over 60%. That's an astonishing number, and we need to lower that number to reintegrate people into society in a successful way.
All right, and Mr. Representative, let's talk a little bit about the private prison that's open and possibility. He's talking about closing Florence Prison down. There's thousands of inmates, and some of them will be moved to other facilities. Some may be ending up in county lockups and whatnot. But there is the possibility of private prisons out there. Your thoughts on the state getting, doing these deals with these private companies?
We're heading in the wrong direction. I think it's a moral issue. This is a public function where we are allowing companies, private companies, to maximize their stock price and profit off the incarceration of another human being. That is, to me, it's an absolutely immoral issue in a business we should not be in. It should not exist, in my opinion. And furthermore, the way that this was announced, it's clear that these communities were not consulted with before this decision was made. I would like to see the hard numbers that substantiate the savings that the governor's office is claiming that they'll realize. I haven't seen it. I can divine a way of reaching a number of that large, but until we see the proof, I'm very skeptical that that is anything more than just a dog and pony show to try to distract folks from the real meat and potatoes of working on our sentencing structure and our in-release credit structure.
Yeah, and what kinds of legislation would you be supportive of here? I mentioned in my interview with the governor there was some legislation introduced last year by Representative Walt Blackman that would have reduced prison population by 8,000.
Yeah, so there's some efforts to still kind of go in that direction and work on the earned release credits. They're watered down from what was tried to pass last session. There's also some legislation that aims towards bolstering the second chance for when people get out, such as clean slate legislation. I also know there's some legislation being introduced that is focusing on our current set-aside law that would prevent employers and also like housing from rejecting somebody just because they have a felony.
Okay, what types of people would this affect, reducing sentences? Talk to us a little bit about that. These aren't people who are violent criminals, correct?
Well, I don't want to speak for Representative Blackman, but I'm familiar with his bill. We're colleagues on the Senate or the House Judiciary Committee. I can tell you that Mr. Blackman's bill is aimed at nonviolent drug offenders, but I am drafting a bill that is going to be more comprehensive, that will include drug offenders, nonviolent offenders, and also even some limited classes of violent offenders as well. We need to be sensitive to the fact that the opportunity for redemption applies across the board, and we can be careful. And just, I'm sorry, one more point. The governor's, okay.
I'm sorry about that, but that is all the time we have here tonight. I know, a short segment. We talk about this a lot longer, but that is all the time we have tonight. Be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged.